call the November Fire Commission meeting to order. Tony, you have what's up?
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day you've given us. We pray that you bless the food that we receive, nourishing our bodies and our bodies our service. Watch over us now as we conduct the business of the fire service in Lancaster County and give us guidance and as we do so. We ask in Christ's name, amen.
Thank you, Tony. All right, can I get an approval for the November the 6th agenda?
Motion.
All right, all in favor? All right. So if everybody read over the minutes in October, can I get approval for October minutes?
Make that motion. Say.
All in favor? All right. Citizen comments. We have Ms. Simpson here from board, and she's going to go over the board and commission training for us tonight. So you.
Thank y'all for having me. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Sherry Simpson. I'm the clerk of council for Lancaster County. I sit up at the podium, kind of behind the podium. You don't ever see me doing the agendas and the minutes. Council did pass a new general provisions for boards and commissions, and we've been trying to go around to the different boards and commissions and do some training. Darren has already heard this. I know he's excited to hear it again. Chief Nicholson's heard it like 3 times. He's really excited about this. But the ordinance number that council passed, and the reason council, the purpose behind this, the reason council passed this is because they are trying to standardize what everybody does on boards and commissions. So what they're wanting is if a citizen goes to one board and commission, they'll basically see the same setup as they see at another board and commission. So the ordinance number was 2024-1926. You can always find that on our website. It was passed on 9/23/2024. It took us a while to get around. We had some boards and commissions that were kind of reconstituted by council after that, and boards that were actually decommissioned. And this tells you in general what this ordinance deals with, which is powers and duties, residency, length of terms, attendance, conduct, service and removal, training, filings with the clerk of council, and disestablishment. You guys are super lucky because Sarah does a lot of this too. I'm going to get some highlights, but a lot of this will be about what she's doing for minutes and agendas and things like that. Okay, for general powers and duties, basically it says that, and I don't know how y'all do when y'all elect your officers, but what they're wanting is election of officers to be held kind of on the same schedule that council does their officer elections, which is after a council election year in January, they elect their officers. Is that the schedule y'all are on, Darren?
We typically elect they reorganize the last Thursday in June, which is their July meeting. Okay. So they organize by fiscal year. Okay.
So we're asking that people do the January calendar year.
They would have to change to do that.
Okay. So every 2 years you have an election, just like council elects their officers every 2 years, and you need a chairperson, a vice chair, and a secretary. You can set your own time and schedule for your meetings, which I think you do. Each board and commission should meet at least twice a year. Y'all meet monthly, right? Which is fine. And have y'all set your meetings for the next year?
Yes. We just sent that to you. What was that, last one? Yeah. Perfect.
So just to let you know that the county has to notice a yearly calendar. And we have to send that to the newspaper, and we have to notice the meetings not only for county council and all of their subcommittees, but any board and commission meeting. So that has to be advertised in the paper. That is a state law. It's one of the FOIA requirements. And you're going to hear me talk a lot about FOIA tonight, and y'all know what I'm talking about when I talk about FOIA. It's Freedom of Information Act, and it means not just only where citizens can write in and get documents, but it also means how we conduct our meetings, that they're open to the public, that they're transparent. and that we're doing what we need to do as far as sending out the agendas in advance and making sure that citizens are aware of their meetings. Then we have a community calendar on our website, and all the meetings get listed there. So if y'all are canceling a meeting, if you're adding a special meeting, all that has to come to the clerk's office so that we know to change that on our community calendar and send out notices. And again, y'all are lucky because Sarah will handle all of that for you. Okay. One other thing that council has done is it does not matter whether you're a commission, you're a board, you're fire fee district, you're whatever your name is. Your board is advisory in nature to county council. And that is a little bit different than what they have done in the past. Of course, you know that you're volunteers. You know you serve without pay, but I don't know why they wanted to throw that in there. Requests and expenditures of funding, that just comes through the budget every year with county, which Darren handles all of that for y'all. Let's say you had a conflict of interest. I can't even think what one would be for y'all. But for county council, it would be if there was a piece of property that they were talking about and a council member owned it or had an interest in it, then they would have to recuse themselves. We have recusal forms that we can give to Sarah if anybody ever needs to give them. But you would need to recuse yourself not only from the vote, but from the discussion. So what we do with council members is we ask them to step out of the room, they go back into the conference room during the entire discussion. We note in the minutes what time they leave. We attach their recusal form to the minutes of our meeting, and then we note what time they come back in. So that is just through the South Carolina ethics, because y'all are, even though you're volunteer board members, you are subject to the ethics, same as county council is. And if you have any questions about that, you can go to SC Ethics, I think is what it is, .com. Okay, this is a little bit different too, and we actually have had this to happen. Because we live on a state line, a lot of times, let's say somebody that's serving, they may end up moving to North Carolina, but they still want to serve. Well, council has said they no longer can do that. They have to be a resident of Lancaster County and registered to vote in Lancaster County in order to serve on a board or commission. And you can understand why they did that. This is taxpayer money. So these decisions should be from people that live and work and vote here because, well, not necessarily work, but vote here. Because it is taxpayer money. If y'all have any questions, stop me. Oh, let me go back to this a minute. This requirement can be waived by unanimous vote at county council, but I will tell you their precedent right now is that they are not waiving that for anybody. Okay, this has not changed. Your length of term is 4 years. Is that what y'all do, 4 years?
Yeah, we've been 4 years for a long time.
Yeah, that hasn't changed. Notification of vacancies. Sarah and Darren usually send a letter saying that somebody's getting ready to vacate their terms up, and then they'll send us a new one for council to appoint someone new. You can only serve 2 consecutive terms on the same board. But again, please note that county council can waive that requirement by a 2/3 vote. And they do this. They have done that for several people. So you could serve more than the 2 consecutive terms. Does have to come before council though. Okay, this is attendance policy. This is different because we've never really had an attendance policy. But we're having trouble getting quorums for people. I don't think y'all have any problems with that. But if you miss 3 consecutive regular, special, or workshop meetings, then that could be grounds for removal. It does have to come before council. They do have to vote on it. So y'all would be on the 12 meetings or less calendar. So you have to attend 50%.
They've had an attendance requirement in their own standard operating guidelines for 15 years.
Oh, great. So y'all don't have a problem with this.
Well, that's why we feed them. You don't have a problem getting people when you feed them.
There you go. We do that too. Your chairman actually can excuse an absence, but make that part of your minutes, that so-and-so's absent, he's been excused by the chairman. You don't have to list the reason, but, and that way it wouldn't count as an excused absence. Okay, just remember that you are representatives of county council, so they do expect you to adhere to accepted standards of conduct. So they just don't want anybody acting in a way that would reflect adversely upon a member of the county. And I know y'all live stream, so I'm pretty sure y'all are good with that. Okay, removal, of course, everybody, including myself, we serve at the pleasure of county council, so they can remove us. They don't really have to give us a reason, but they can. Okay. Let's see. So, council has said that they would like people to go through training within 12 months of their appointment. So, for new members, we will be having this training twice a year. We'll have it in December and July. So as you have new members come on, they'll come up to the county building and go through this same training. You're welcome to come anytime you want to come and go through the training again. I don't think you want to, but you can. We will not have it this December because we're trying to get all the boards and commissions now, but we will start that next July. So this talks about minutes and agendas in the next couple of slides. We do have to file minutes. We didn't used to put minutes on the website, but we have a new software system now, and it is going to allow us to put minutes on the website, which is good for citizens. Just a lot more of that transparency that I was talking about. So once you approve your minutes, so you just approved a set of minutes, Sarah will send that in, we'll put that on the website. Okay, and this is just for really boards and commissions that don't meet very often. Like they may only meet twice a year. They have to meet and approve their minutes. Any questions so far?
And just so y'all know, Sarah will send those minutes in usually Friday morning. When y'all approve them on Thursday night, she sends them in on Friday morning. Unless for some reason she's off work, in which case it would be Monday.
We do not get them up quite that fast, but we try. Council can decide to disestablish boards and commissions. They have done that recently. Really what they're disestablishing is boards that have not met in 12 months. What council would be looking for is for citizens to still have a way to have input in whatever that was. For example, they disestablished the animal shelter board because they really weren't meeting very regularly. But because the animal shelter has a large volunteer program out there, there was still a way for citizens to have input. They still could, if they had problems, contact the administrator or the animal shelter director. So there was still a way for citizens to be active and have input in those. And I think that's really what they would be looking for if they were ever going to disestablish another board. This just talks about minutes again. And that tells you that you need to have the date, time, and place, who's present, who's absent, and the substance. And again, we're going to keep minutes in a public place where citizens can easily get through them so they wouldn't have to file a FOIA for it. All meetings should be recorded, which y'all are live streaming, so that's not a problem for y'all. But if your live stream was to ever go down, you would need to have a backup method of a recording somehow. Could be an iPad, whatever. So we've had this happen at a couple of boards and commissions where citizens have come in and they pull up their phone and they start recording on Facebook Live. They can do that. You can't stop them. Just let them record their meeting. That's allowed. Now, you don't have to give them a way to record the meeting. You don't have to give them a phone, but they certainly can come in, watch the meeting here, and then record it. So, I don't know if y'all have ever had anything like that happen. But since you live stream, I would not think so. Okay, this talks about meeting notices, and again, Sarah handles all this for y'all, but I just kind of want to go over this briefly. So we do, again, have to publish this yearly calendar that we have of all the meetings that are coming up, and agendas for regular, special, called, subcommittees, ad hoc committees, any kind of committee that you are running that is up underneath this body has to have an agenda. If you have an agenda, you have to have minutes, and that agenda has to be posted at least 24 hours prior to the meeting. We prefer to have them at least 30 days in advance, and whoever's sending them to us should send them to Lauren and myself, because Lauren's getting ready to go out on maternity leave. So if you have a subcommittee, which y'all have subcommittees, those subcommittees should be sending agendas to us or posting, because those also are county meetings. They have to be open to the public, and the public has a right to attend. So we have to post them at the main office. We have to post them on our website. And Sarah, if I were you, I would post one outside this door right here.
We typically put it on the door.
There you go.
Yes. And just so you all know, we have determined that the training officers, because you all appoint the training officers, are a subcommittee, even though they're not a standing committee as part of the ordinance. So that meeting is considered voidable as well. So we meet all, we're gonna be meeting all those requirements for that meeting too. We just made that determination in the last month, I think.
Yeah. So what do you mean when you say standing committee?
We have standing committees, there's 5 of those that have not met since all of these requirements have been in.
Okay.
But when they do, we know we've got to do an agenda.
Yeah.
We'll probably be doing it by teams, but
Okay.
we'll still be doing the agenda. It'll be recorded on Teams. I don't know how we could let the public attend the Teams meeting, but
You have to, if you're gonna do it by teams, then you have to, number one, everybody has to be on Teams.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do like, I'll come back to that. You have to put the link so that the public has the availability to join via Teams.
but then they can talk.
They can. Well, during citizens' comments, they can,
Okay.
not during anything else. But they can listen and they can join. So, yeah, you'll just need to, Lauren can show you how to do that, how to put those links on the agenda. So, because that has to just be on the agenda. We have a long list of media that we send out to for agendas, believe it or not. There's like over 100. Some of them are podcasts, some of them are media. And anybody who requests a copy of the agenda can get it. So we have a place on our website now where people can subscribe to the agendas. And if you ever want to know where that is, I can show it to you. Okay. Great. That's everything on that one. That's just saying agenda. So once you establish your agenda, you cannot change your agenda unless you're amending it and you still are able to meet that 24-hour notice requirement. Does that make sense? But once you get here and you start talking, you can't amend that agenda. Actually, you can, but it's a very long, complicated procedure, so we just recommend that you don't do it. Okay? Now, some people have, and I don't know what all y'all have on your agenda, but if you want different committees to be able to speak, or you want everybody to have a turn, you could do like a roundtable discussion. We have that on some councils, the intergovernmental agenda. And it just says roundtable discussion, and that way each person can go around the table and tell what's like a current update. Okay? Doesn't necessarily always have to be specific, you just have to let citizens know that you're gonna do that.
Well, if you look at their agenda, their standing committees are listed under standing committee
Okay,
reports.
yep, that's perfect then. Okay, so that tells you have to have 2/3 vote if you're gonna change it. But you cannot, this is what I was saying, if you're gonna change your agenda, you can't take a final vote unless it's an emergency circumstance. And this is why we go over this, because a judge can actually, if we violate FOIA, issue attorney's fees and costs to the county for violating FOIA. Any questions? I know I went through it quick, but Darren is there to handle a lot of this for y'all, so should be good. I'm done. See how quick that went?
Well, Ms. Simpson, we appreciate you coming out and showing us those slides and explaining what we have to do here. Does anybody got any questions for her before she does get out? We'll give her just a couple minutes and then we'll move right on with our meeting.
Tony, I had got it plugged up. Would you turn that laptop off so I feel the battery? I just had it all charged up to that.
Thank y'all again. Always reach out if you have questions.
Thank you, Ms. Simpson. All right, moving right along, to the standing committee report. I was supposed to ask is, nobody has led on the standing committee report.
I will tell you on the standard operating guidelines, Tony and I are working on a whole pile of them that are basically just scriveners, corrections, where we've changed names of things, the things that we've made some changes about operations. So he's getting all those together. Once he does, we'll send those to the chair of the SOG committee, and then she will decide when the meeting would be, and at that point in time, we'll make notifications and get the FOI stuff covered so that we meet the requirements of what the city does, what the county has to do. Doing them on Teams, I didn't realize we had to do a link, but we'll do that. But that gets it recorded. That's one of the main reasons we're doing it on Teams. If we meet before the fire commission meeting, which is what we'll do a lot of times if we have to meet in person with the different committees, I guess we'll just have Billy start the live stream early, and then we'll cut it off and then start it back up when the fire commission meeting starts. That way it's recorded then on YouTube. The training officers meeting, we may have to try to live stream it, just so we've got it recorded, since it has.
We recorded everything.
Do you? Okay, all right. So we can record without actually streaming it out, okay. That's not a requirement, we have to record it, and then people know about it, so you may have some people sitting here watching that you haven't had before as a training officer group, so that would be the only change that comes with that. But the other committees, if we need to meet with those, we'll do the same thing, handle the same way.
All right, since no meetings were scheduled, we're gonna move right into old business, discussion, returning to fire rescue moving forward, funding discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I placed on the table a spreadsheet. Last month, y'all talked about wanting to know some numbers. So what I've done in some consultations with the assessor, and I've got to be getting budget ready to go too. So as we're moving into the month of December, I went ahead and figured up the top item is the McDonald Green Station. If it were completely fleshed out, you all know right now we're gonna have as a captain and an engineer per shift. So if you look at that number, that's the captain's salary. engineer salary, and when we're able to add a firefighter 2, firefighter 1, those are salaries. Now, bear in mind, everything we're looking at is a preliminary estimate. These salaries are based on, right now, this year's salaries. They don't have included in them any kind of raise that may be, or lack thereof. We don't have a clue if there will be a raise. We don't know what the percentage of the raise would be if there is one. So all I can do is work with numbers that we've got right now. So the salary, the retirement, that's the retirement that the county pays on that salary, the workers' comp on that employee, the FICA on that employee. If they carry full family, that's the cost of full family on the county side this year. I don't know what it'll be next year. They set that figure generally in October, but it's October after the fiscal year has begun, so they have to anticipate it a little bit. So when you see total benefits, that's what it costs to pay an employee $76,300 a year. Now, if you multiply that by 3, that gives you the 3 shift cost in that column. And then the overtime holiday pay is a figure that HR figured last year when I was doing the budget and we were requesting these stations be funded and established. So that number comes from HR, and again, that's 3 people in that number. In the 24-hour schedule, where they're working 24-hour days, that schedule has overtime in it. There's just no way around that. It's just the way people work. And also the holidays are paid. So if that person works a holiday, they get their regular pay and they get 16 hours of holiday pay. So it's double time for 16 hours on that day for whoever happens to work it. If they don't work it, they still get the holiday pay for 16 hours. So that's how these schedules figure, and that's why there's overtime and holiday pay that's in there. And that number is not that number is not a perfect number. It's an estimate. The engineer, same way. Everything has got 3 people in it, so that, and you can see if you wanted to add up what the captain and the engineer is going to cost, you could just divide out those 2. What I'm trying to give you is numbers that we will need to be ready and prepared for long term, because we don't intend to stay with 2 people at a station per shift. We really want a 4-person engine company at least in every one of these stations, and we're looking to begin with at 3 of them. We're ready to start McDonald Green hopefully in January, and when the administrator was here, he talked about doing the 2nd station in the beginning of the next budget year. And that station still has to be determined as to where it will go. We've not had that discussion yet. This is a discussion on funding and millage and that type of thing. So that's why you've got 4 people there, so that you're planning for a full station. So you see what 3 shifts would cost based on today's salaries. You see what the overtime for those 3 shifts with the holiday pay would cost. If you bring that down, that number, the large number right under the millage line, is the total of the 3 shift cost and the overtime cost added together. Right now, a county mill is worth $599,976, just shy of $600,000. Now that's a county-wide mill. So today as we see it, and the bottom part is where this is going to apply. Today as we see it, all of the fire service costs, other than Indian Land, all of the fire service costs come out of the general county fund, right along with EMS, Sheriff's Office, everybody else, all out of general fund. When we move forward with this, Indian Land is already established. They've got a fee district. Van White has a fee district. The rest of the county does not have a fee district or a millage district or an established tax district. That's what we're running these numbers for. As we're moving on forward, we've got to figure out what it's going to cost to fund it. So if you look at the 2nd station, you'll see the numbers are a little bit higher for the total, and that's because the McDonald Green station, we're establishing primarily with people who already work, we hope. Now, we've been pushing this thing a long time. At the time we started talking, we pretty much had people in here who were ready to apply for those jobs. And if they were successful in getting through that process, staff at Donald Green Station. I can't guarantee you right now that we've got as many still interested as we had at that time. There is a captain position already funded in the fire commission, in the fire and rescue budget. So that was the one extra position we were gonna be adding. That's in the budget already funded. So if you look at the second station, just so you understand the numbers, it costs more because those would all be new people in the second station. And they would have to be equipped. So that's why I've added in the equipment funding, basically for 3 captains and 3 engineers. It would take, that's 6 people, so it'd take $90,000 to fund them. That's about $15,000 a person is what it takes to equip them. Turnout gear, air pack, the kinds of things that have to be done to make sure that person can fight fire. At today's millage rate, that's 2.5 mills. The other one, at McDonald Green, is a little over 2.25 mills, based on today's millage rate. If you come down to the last column, this is the current fire cost, and there's 3 budgets right now that we have fire cost in. The 141 budget is your budget. That's the fire commission budget. That's the budget we've had forever. The 144 budget is the career fire service budget. A number of years ago, we pulled out the career folks. And the reason we did that was so that the fire commission budget could still be established, stand alone, be there. There's a lot of things it does for the whole service, including some of the career side, but the salaries for the career budget are all out of the fire commission budget. They're not in there at all. And that was to keep the fire commission budget from being whittled down on equipment as salaries raised or went up, or as more people had to be added, so that there wouldn't be that conflict in the fire commission budget. So it funds everybody's equipment, but the career guys are considered just like another station now. And so that's how we fund it when we're doing all the breakdown. So anyway, there's 3 budgets, and also the county now is paying half of the contract cost at Kershaw. Prior to this year, we paid for 1 individual as part of the rescue plan. That happened to be a lieutenant. Everybody knows that's Jonathan Payne. And then the Kershaw contract itself covered a firefighter, which would be basically a firefighter 1, and the captain. And so those 2 salaries were in that budget, and we would, whatever that salary was the same as everybody else's, but we send Kershaw the cost of that, and they would pass it. This year they asked for everything to be added together and divided in half, and council decided to do that. So the 142 budget is also included in this number. So right now, as we sit today, those 3 budgets amount to $5,818,771. At today's mill, that's 9.7 mills. So again, we're doing preliminary estimations. I want you to see where we're at right now before we add in the staff stations. And we're not ready to go through all that. I won't throw it too much at you today. I want you to understand this. Then we'll try to move on forward at the next meeting. But if you look at a $100,000 house, and here's how I had to figure that. And I talked to Brad about this, and he told me how to figure it. But I figured it as though everything in the county is owner-occupied primary dwelling. That's a 4% tax rate. Now, that everybody knows that's not truly how the county's set up. You got people who own their own homes and live in them. They're taxed at 4% until they're 65 and apply for the homestead exemption. And then they get another, I think the first 50,000 is tax-free, and after that it's still at 4%. So I can't figure all those variables in. I just don't have the ability to do that. So I figured everything at 4%. You all know this also, if we do a millage, it applies to vehicles and boats and everything else. I don't have any of those figures in here, because I don't have any way of gathering that data. So I think I'd have to work with the auditor to maybe get some of that. But we're going to be working on a little bit of it to get a better idea. But anyway, just based on 4% home value across the board, with the value of the mill at just under $600,000, if you got a $100,000 house right now, and people don't know it because they don't have a line in their tax bill that says this, but that person's paying $38.80 to support the fire service in this county. Not Indian Land, their people are paying that much, and then they're paying their, what, $250? $240 fee on top of that. They see that, because that's a line item on their bill. They don't see this 30, if it's a $100,000 house, they don't see the $38.80, because that hadn't been divided out as a special line item. If you look at, most everybody in here owns their own home, so you look at your tax notice, you see your tax millage for the county, you see it for the school district, you see it for courtroom security, and USCL, I think, is the other thing. And then if you happen to live in a municipality, it's added on there as well. If you live in an unincorporated area, you don't have that. So that's how your tax bill comes out, and I think that's all the things that show on there. So right now, there's not a fire fee or fire millage line on the tax bill for most people in the county. I think y'all's shows up as a special line up in the Indian Land area. And Van Wyck's shows up the same way. If you're in a $200,000 house, it's $77.60. If it's in a $300,000 house, you can read. I don't need to read all the numbers to you. But that's what those house values are putting towards the fire service in the county right now. People who live in the city are paying this fee on their taxes, and then they're paying their city taxes, which funds the city fire department above and beyond. Same thing with the city police department. They're paying county taxes, which gets the sheriff's office. If the city needs them, the sheriff comes in to help. Just like if Justin needs us, we go in there to help. So that's how it's set up right now. Once this separates out, and once we try to go with a millage to establish what we got to do down here, and when I say down here, I'm talking about basically the pan of the county. There's a whole lot of variables that are moving parts right now, and some of that's in the legal work, some of that's in council's hands. But long story short, based on conversations with Brad, with the millage that would be in Indian Land, and right now, Indian Land covers, between Indian Land and Van Wyck, that's 68.54% of the assessed value in this county is in those two districts. Van Wyck's only 5.2% of that, so Indian Land is the lion's share of that by far. Well, we already know 40% of the population lives up there. But by and large, the larger, more expensive property is up there as well. So they got 68.54%. If the city is in the mix, the pan of the county has 31.46%. Now I'm taking these numbers off of our 1% assessments. I took that sheet, and that's where I got these numbers. Brad tells me that's probably not perfect, but it's a good ballpark estimate, because there's things that vehicles are not in that. So we're not talking about vehicles or that kind of thing. That, I guess you'd call that personal property that ad valorem taxes are added to. So if the city stays in, and the city, as things are going, the city at some point will have to decide, we either want to be in or we want to be out. I think that requires a contract between the city council and county council, if I understand what the attorneys have talked about. At that point, if they stay in, we pretty much continue to operate like we're operating. If they don't, there's a separation that has to occur at that point in time, because their citizens will no longer pay any tax to support the county fire service. In the past, they always did that. And up until 91 or 92, they did not have representation on this board. And after that, they did. And at that point, the fire commission began to fund them just like they fund every other fire station in the county. And as we've increased benefits, we've done it the same way. Whatever we do for one, we do for everybody in the county. If the city elects to not be part of this, that would take 6.5% of the assessed value out of the property, leaving us with roughly 25% of the assessed value of the county, from which we would try to then fund the county's fire service in the pan of the county. I said all of that to say this: you can take that number that I've got there with the $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 house, and multiply it by 4 if the city is not in the mix, and that's about what it would take to fund what we do today. not add these other stations in, but today. If the city stays in the mix, you can multiply it by 3. It takes it from 25% to about 31 or 32%. So it's roughly a third at that point. So that's a round figure, that's a number for you to keep in your head to understand where we're heading with this and what kind of money we're talking about. That, from my understanding, that was something that you all wanted to try to have an understanding of as we're moving on forward. And as I said, I didn't want to choke you to death with facts and figures tonight. You probably need to get this to digest it. But at this point, Mr. Chairman, I'll try to answer any questions anybody might have.
All right, thank you, Derek. Anybody got any questions for Derek on the funding discussion for this millage?
Darren, that's just operations, correct?
That is
not any
absolutely-
capital.
Just operations, that's not buying fire trucks, that's not building buildings, or, now, the $50,000 for the McDonald Green house to be remodeled, not remodeled, but to be updated, that's in the budget already, so it's already in this 9.7 million. The 3 people we support at the city is in this 9.7 million number. So you need to know that everything we're doing today is in that 9.7 million number.
There, these are 9.7, these 2.26 and 2.5, that's gonna be added on top of it now.
Yes, sir. Now, McDonald Green won't add the full 2.26 because if we are able to staff it with existing employees, they're already in the 9.7. So you would, even the extra employee, but if perchance some of the guys don't want to do it and we end up having to hire other people, then some of that 2.26 would be added to the 9.7. However, when you do that second station, that 2.56 will definitely be needed to add to it. And again, that's just operations, that is not capital.
All right, anybody else got any questions?
So you said current firefighters want those positions. We're not gonna see a big increase because of McDonald Green.
Yes. And,
So we're not gonna fill the positions they're vacating?
No, that was the plan. We were pulling people off the 15, leaving some teams established, but they were gonna be going into the McDonald Green station. So, and that was to help get it going, hopefully, we thought last March. Now we're almost to this March, but council funded it starting in January.
Right.
And the captain's position has been in there since July 1, but we've not listed or posted or hired for that yet. The question is, Todd, we just can't say we'll move somebody into a captain position. They gotta be qualified.
Oh, yeah.
And there's gotta be a little bit of, is this person gonna be able to do it?
Yeah.
So there's several variables in there, but people were interested
Back then.
at that time. When you remember we started talking about this last year this time, thinking it might be in March when it would start happening.
So with this just being just operations, is there any plan for capital?
There will be, but I didn't want to choke you tonight.
Okay.
And I don't know, I'm gonna have to ask the administrator this question. I don't know if capital is something that's on a tax bill every year, or if it's on a tax bill at the time when you're looking for capital and you bill to that and then it goes off. I don't know how that works, and I don't want to give you bad information. And he and I have not discussed that yet.
And this rolls over if you don't use it, right?
If it's when it's a county, either a fee or a millage dedicated to fire, it does roll over. It's not like our budget. Right now, when the council gives us a fire commission budget or fire rescue budget, we operate out of it. If at the end of the year we have money left, it goes back to county. That goes into the general fund. That's what y'all hear them talk about as fund balance. That's where the savings comes from. And every department in the county, that same thing happens. But these special fees, special taxes, stay in that budget. Council still has to authorize the expenditure and the operational cost, but that money stays in that fund. It does not go back into the to the county's, savings accounts.
Any other questions?
Everybody's real quiet. Did I confuse you that badly, or did maybe I do a good job of explaining it?
I got this. I'm trying to soak it in. So, what you was talking about, the times 4 or times 3 would be if we went to millage right now to get what we got right now with either the city in or the city out.
Yes, in rough, and remember, these are really rough numbers. These are not polished. I'd never tell you that they're completely accurate, because there's money would be there that we don't have figured, that would be on the personal ad valorem tax property. And then you got property that's taxed at 6%, which is the rental property and that kind of thing. The industrial property is taxed at 10%, but the county doesn't have that number. That comes from the Department of Revenue. The treasurer and the auditor get those, the assessor does not get that. So.
And that's just the same with what we got now.
Yes, and this should be a worst case scenario, because all that other would be more money coming in. So what I've given you is probably the absolute worst that it would be.
So you're saying the stage, or to add the one for next year, and you said you multiply the 300,000 by 3 or 4, so that house would pay $460 or something
Yes,
a
sir.
year to up it. So
I'm not good enough to do that math in my head, but I can do that 1 times 3 or that 1 times 4, so you $300 or $400, yeah.
Well, the times 3 or 4 is what we got now.
Yeah, that's just to do what we're doing today.
That's not with the stations.
It would probably be with most of McDonald Green, but it would not be with the second station.
I thought you said these numbers were what people were paying today for the 9.7 mils.
It is.
Okay.
But
Why
that's
do you
without
got it
the
double,
whole county.
4, only add 4 more mils?
Because that's a countywide setup.
Okay.
We would not be countywide. The mill value would change. So when I look at the assessed property, I just took that out and I asked Brad, was my logic reasonable? And he said, as long as people know you're in a ballpark, you're not on base, if that makes sense.
So that's the whole county of Indian Land taking 60% of the money and.
Indian Land and Van Wyck are 68.54% of their assessed value, based on Carrie's numbers that she gave me when she gave out the 1% checks.
Okay.
So that's where I got those numbers from.
What percent?
68.54%. The city ends up being about 6.5%. And if you doing subtraction, you take all 3 of them out, that leaves 24.96%, which I said 25%, about a quarter.
But that's taking into consideration that you'd be funding this on the new millage. So what happens to the whatever million y'all get out of the county now?
That millage, now my understanding is that millage would move out of that budget into this budget.
Okay.
So for people who live in the county, it will be a zero sum on that. They're already paying it here.
That's what
They'll
I thought.
continue to pay it here.
Yeah.
Your people will get a deduction because they won't pay it anymore. And if the city doesn't elect to be in, they will get a deduction because they won't pay it anymore.
So it's not it'd be, you're moving one a little bit over here to over here. Obviously, it's gonna be more than what you would be paying now
You just give me the
because
date.
you're adding to it, but
Yeah.
it's really a lateral move on a lot of it.
To the first step,
Yeah.
which includes a good bit of McDonald Green, but that second station is where the increase is gonna come.
The
And the
second
third
and
and fourth.
Well, second, third, fourth, fifth, we end up with over
Yeah.
years. And as you know, and I've given you numbers for full staffing. remember, we're only starting out with 2 people per shift right now. And that would be the way the second station would be, and I would assume the third station too. And then hopefully we would go back and try to either put 1 person in each station, which would be a total of 9 people that would be added to the budget that year. And then another time you'd add 9 more to where you'd have 4 people on an engine company at least. And then if you began to flesh out a little bit more, you go, get some rescue, a couple people for rescues and those kinds of things, as you completely flesh that station out and get it moving. That's years down the road, I would think, but I would think it's more than 10 years down the road by the time it's all done.
All right, has anybody got any other questions for Barry? Concerns? I'll tell these back to your department, because I think, December's meeting, they was wanting to know.
Yeah, we were hoping to be able to give council at least our advice on which direction we think we'd like to go funding wise. So that's why I tried to get you this information tonight. And you can sort of extrapolate going forward as to how it's gonna be, and then we'll try to get more numbers, the more information I get, I'll bring it back in the next one.
Thank you. All right, nobody else got any questions? We're gonna move on to, first two. Any discussion on first two?
I talked to, Brian, our representative today. Didn't get the news he wanted to on, he's supposed to call me back, and I didn't receive a phone call back. He was out of the office, so the information he needed to get me, he probably couldn't obtain right now. So, he did tell me while I was on the phone with him that Naris has flipped the switch, and they've aligned all of their call types to the previous codes and everything, and they're ready, to move forward. So when we're ready, they're ready on that side. That's all the report I got right now.
So would it be best for us to go ahead and,
Yeah, we're pretty much ready to go.
so unless y'all have a big heartburn, I'm gonna tell him to go ahead and set us up.
We got to make sure we got all our numbers, Naris numbers, they're different.
I gotta look and see if everybody's established their accounts. There was a few that had not.
We got to do that before we switch.
Okay, I'll try to verify that.
That's all I know right now.
All right, thank you, Billy. Discussion, fire report summary.
Mr. Chairman, you got a copy of that, I think, on the table.
All right, everybody sees, what the report said, how many reports each department's missing, and what has been started and incomplete. We need to try to continue keeping these numbers on the decreasing side of this, especially whenever we get ready to switch over, hopefully, whenever we get ready to go first two. I'm sure Julie would love for everybody to get these numbers down. If you have any questions and concerns about any of the reports, please get with her, and try to help her get these numbers down. Anybody got any questions on those? All right. Moving right along into new business. Discussion fire commission budget, 25-26.
Mr. Chairman, everybody's aware that we've been out of ice for a month or two now. I have searched through my emergency management budget to see if I can find money for it, and I do not have it there. I had early on anticipated I would try to get it out of the EMPG funds, which would allow me to go ahead and buy it, and we'd get reimbursed. Well, the MPG is not released yet from Washington, and I don't know when it's gonna be released, so that's not gonna be a source of funds. So I would request if you all would allow me to use money out of your special projects. The Nugget ice maker, which is the one we all love and cherish so much, is $6,310.03. Had I been able to do it out of emergency management, I was planning to buy two. I was gonna put one here and put one out at Linwood Drive at the warehouse site. I still want to do two, but if you all will allow us to use the special projects money to purchase this one, that'll at least get one back in this building for the meetings, for this meeting. And as we're doing the different things that we're doing here. So the $6,310.03 includes sales tax, but I don't know what shipping might be. So there may be a little bit more.
Maybe at least 500.
Sir,
Maybe at least 500.
that's what I'm thinking. It'll have to come on a big truck, so. Billy and Chico and Keith and everybody else in here will do the hookup. We got plumbing and electrical skills, but we don't have the ability to build an ice maker
That's just to replace the one
in the
back
back.
here,
Yeah.
and then if they need to add, if it was requested for a second.
Well, no, we'll find the money for a second one somewhere out of the emergency management side, one of the grants or something. But this one, that'll take time. We really need to get an ice maker in here, so.
Alright,
I make a motion that we use part of special project money to buy this, ice maker that we're looking at.
So,
we got a motion by Justin, second by Tom. Anybody got any objections on spending money out of our special project money for an ice machine? I mean, it does help, especially with the guys with the county trucks. They bring drinks and
You know, right now,
refreshments.
the city has been kind enough to let us get ice there. Shiloh Zion has been kind enough. We get ice there. Antioch has allowed us to get ice there. So we've been making it, but we're having to beg, borrow, and steal. So far, we haven't had to steal it, but we've had to beg and borrow.
So we got a motion. Anybody object? Alright, all in favor? There you go. Alright, any discussion concerning gift cards?
Mr. Chairman, I did have discussions with First Citizens Bank. They are gonna do gift cards again this year. They are doing, they call it bulk purchasing. The only difference is that they're only selling certain, denominations. We have last few years done a $60 gift card. They are not offering the $60 gift card. We couldn't have been that lucky. What they're offering is a $50 gift card. Well, I knew y'all probably didn't want a deduction, but they're then offering a $75 gift card. We do have just enough money in the budget. This is in the insurance line item, if you're doing the line item. We've already paid the insurance, the private insurance I'm talking about. That's your accidental death and disability that we pay above and beyond what workers' comp would do. And the accidental death and then the disability, the two policies that we pay. We've already paid that, and we've got enough money left in the budget to purchase the gift cards and put a $75 load on those. So,
I make a motion.
post-COVID, and you're okay with that. So, and we'll be doing, what I said, 265, 265 of them, what we're doing, so. Finance is handling that. They're gonna do what's called an ACH purchase, so we won't be doing a PO. I've already talked to Monique. She's working on that. Hopefully, it'll be done, either if Chatton already got it done, it'll be done the first part of next week. We got our number after November the 1st. I told her to go ahead and be working on it, that I anticipated y'all would approve that tonight, so that way we went ahead and got it going. Hopefully we'll have them early enough to give us a week or two to get them bagged and packaged and ready for y'all to get them in the December meeting, signed for them, and then take them to your membership. I would advise everybody to be smart like Eric was last year and register that card in your name as soon as you get it, so that if for some reason the bank makes a change, you'll be in the record and they'll do like they did for Eric and send you $60 and not do like me. And I had to go in and apply for it. To put it in my name took me a month and a half to get my $60. So I didn't think that mattered before, but it did this year. I'm just glad they're still doing it, because nobody wants to do gift cards anymore. And I really don't want to go and have to buy one that's to a business. And if you go to a Walmart or somewhere and buy a Visa card, their cost on it is way more. $3.95 is what I think is what we're paying for these cards. It'll be way more than $3.95 at Walmart per card. So even if they gave us a deal, I don't foresee them coming down to get us. But none of the other banks are even doing them anymore. They're just not doing it at all. So,
So we got a motion and a second, so all in favor?
y'all had already authorized me last month to go ahead and move, so I had done that, so if I'd had to go to Walmart, I would've come back here tonight, be sure we did it right.
Thank you. Discussion concerning call types?
Mr. Chairman, the only thing we've had that I talked to Robert about was something that involved Billy on a call, Billy Lloyd, on a call. He was on a rec call, and he ended up being there a good portion of the day. And it turned out that they had not called highway patrol. So we learned several things out of that. Robert has handled that at his level, with his agency. So he knew that, but in doing so, he also found out that Highway Patrol has consolidated some of their dispatch, and they actually closed centers. They had one in Florence and they had one in North Charleston. They closed both of them. They took the one from Florence back to Blythewood, and I don't know where the traffic from North Charleston went. But when they did that, things go into a phone tree. When dispatch calls, it goes into a phone tree. They leave the information, thinking it's going to get to the dispatcher, and it never gets there. It was circling around until somebody somewhere in the state in one of their dispatch centers decided to answer the phone. And that was causing a tremendous delay too. Now, he says that in part of this discussion, Highway Patrol has gotten that straightened out. So that should not be occurring now. In the process of doing all this, I had called Jay Stair, the lieutenant, to find out if he could check on his side and see what had gone on. And so we had it working from both directions. So hopefully that got some idea. Billy recommended to our guys in here, and I would recommend that y'all tell your folks, if you get on a wreck scene, once you've got it established, you know what you're doing, you got everything moving, just go on and ask them, do they have an ETA for Highway Patrol? Because where in the past they could not get that, they can get that now sometimes, not every time, but sometimes. But that'll at least put them on cue to be sure they did call Highway Patrol. Don't wait, an hour or two, because Billy was being, uncharacteristically kind that day. He didn't call them and ask them. Yeah, he didn't call them and ask them. Had they said Highway Patrol the message. So. At least we got a lot of it.
That's right.
Can you get, Robert maybe to start looking at non-emergency transport companies calling for us to help unload their patients for them? We've had several in the past couple months. They're a for-profit company coming in, and they'll send an ambulance, and then they'll call for the fire department, and we get there and we're like, where they're at, and they're like, oh, they're 10 minutes from the hospital, they're 10 minutes away coming from the hospital, they need y'all to help them bring them in the building.
We're not supposed to be doing that.
Well, we get the bind when we get there and they show up and we're sitting there and I'm always gonna err on the citizen side, but I've already spoke to one company, but that worked for about 2 days and they called us again. So.
Actually, I've talked to Clay about that, and he handles it with their people in Columbia. But when that's happening, I need to know about that. That's not so much a Robert issue as it is that company. They're not supposed to do that.
So just send you an email?
Send me an email and I'll forward it on to Clay, or you can send it to Clay and just copy me so that I know you've done it. So, because you're gonna be the one that's gonna get hit the most with that.
I know Billy was on one not long ago. I already talked about it on the radio. So it's not just us, but I'm sure we'll be the biggest majority of it.
Yeah, and we would be the same way. If the citizens there, we're gonna do it, but that company's charging for that service.
Absolutely.
He's also dealing with, it's not DA no more, but he's dealing with that side of it with them too, because they're supposed to provide the service and they get paid to do it, and they're not doing this stuff.
Correct.
So, the more
Either that or
the more he knows, the more better off he is.
Yeah, and I figured, I talked to him about the fact that we would begin to send them a bill for y'all services, or our services, if we have to do it, because they're getting paid mightily for it. They're getting way more than our EMS would get if they were handling that.
Yes. All right, thank you.
All right. Approval of fire department AFG grants.
Nothing to report there.
Discussion concerning updated prioritized truck purchase list.
Mr. Chairman, you've got in your package tonight an updated spreadsheet. I talked to Robbie Ford and got him to give me some updated pricing. based on the consortium that they're part of, which is what we bought through. I also updated on this, the truck ages. I did not update the mileage, so that the mileage is probably not accurate as of today, because these trucks are all still, some of them are still driving, some of them won't run, but some of them are still driving, or most of them are still driving. So mileage is not right, hours would not be right, but the age has been updated and the cost. And this is not considering any discount for volume or anything else. This is just a flat out like we were buying one truck at a time. But this is your, well, it is the fire commission's prioritized list. The fire commission did that list last, what was the last fire commission that did it? If you're wondering, if you're new on here and you're wondering where'd you come up with these 24 trucks or 24 pieces of equipment, that was the prioritized list the fire commission gave. This is not all that needs to be purchased. Just remember that. This was the prioritized list of what started out being a $16.5 million list. You can see now it's an 18 and a little more than a $500,000 list. So while we've been waiting, they've gone up almost $2 million. If you were buying one truck at a time. Now granted, again, there are discounts for volume and that kind of thing. So you can't figure that in until we actually know what we're doing and actually put out a request for bid, whatever.
There any updates on the truck purchase?
I just know council has been interested in it, and I forwarded this same list to the administrator 2.5 weeks ago, I think. 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks ago, I'm not sure. But it was on Wednesday when I sent it to him, so. Actually, probably the 22nd of October, because that's the date I got on it. Or thereabouts, might have been a day or two after that.
Any other discussion on truck, prioritized truck purchase?
Is anything moving on?
Was that?
Is anything moving on, or are we gonna start buying a truck anytime soon?
We hope getting this list, maybe that'll get some more things moving on it. I know several council members are interested in getting things moving, so.
Can we, think we can get an update by the next meeting, see whenever they're gonna start?
I can ask Marshall, yeah.
All right, moving on to miscellaneous items, grant update. Any grant?
Not that I know of.
All right. Training report.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, take a look in your packet. We just finished up the low-angle road class, so the next one up is the hazmat awareness. As you can see, we have 9 in that class. The only thing is, just to let you know, all 9 are from out of county. So that, like I said last month, that concerns me because if you don't have 9, if you have 9 from out of county and nobody in the county, does that hazmat awareness go in the spring, which leads to that firefighter 1 does as well. So, but we'll just wait and see, but, that is coming by as well. Also in your packet is the, January, June classes. So, big reminder is the firefighter 1, the 20-hour 1153. So if you have personnel just have 1152 in hazmat, they can get this, take this class and then get into the recruitment and retention benefits as well. So take a look at that, pass it out to your memberships, your training officers know about it as well. Class C licensing, we've talked about this in the past. So little did we know that Justin and myself a couple weeks ago took the class, and there are fewer Class E licensing DMVs in the state than we thought. The closest one is Florence. Blythewood is no longer one as well. So closest from here is Florence, and then beyond Florence is Walterboro.
It was a long way.
Oh, it was a good way away. So long way from Blackbird. So whenever they at the fire academy finalize their Class C licensing paperwork with the DMV, we will get a class here. I know we just finished the EDT. It's kind of in the hands of the fire academy and the DMV. So we're going at government based on that. So We'll see when that comes out, they finalize it. The high school program, they passed hazmat ops, they are in firefighter one. They will test out right before Christmas, come back from Christmas, and the other half the class will come back and they'll finish out the year with auto X, fire two, and whatever have you as well. Rescue drills, talked about that in the past, I talked with your training officer, everybody, once they get here, but next year, instead of doing 4 separate times, we're just gonna do one Saturday, and it's gonna be a comes in, so. We tried the regional stuff, that failed this year, so we're gonna go back to hosting it one time and go from there as well. Social media, you've seen some new stuff posted out on social media, especially the 50 yards of a firefighter, just to let you know, that came for, it is football season, but also I'm gonna be doing career and volunteer, so when your volunteers get a phone call, that's what that's about as well. Also, with social media, I got contacted by Ashley Bolton from the Firefighter Association, and I put one representative from each fire department to possibly be recognized by their social media. So if one of your members get a phone call from the Firefighter Association, they leave a voicemail, call them back, because you will be recognized statewide from their platform. All right, so I can't guarantee who, when, what, or what, anything like that, but I put one of your members out there. So, for example, at Antioch, I put Eric, because he's right here. I don't for it too. I didn't mean it like that. So Eric's been with Antioch for a while, and then Michelle up with us with Fred. So just on down the list as well. So be looking out for that as well. And also in your packet, IST, this has been approved by your training officers. So this is IST, as you can tell, the 2 IST years, 27, 30, 28, 31. So these are topics that we talk about at training officers meetings, so that way it's understandable what would make the trainings more realistic and come to and enjoyable to come to. So we took out a lot of PowerPoint and added more skills, and from that as well is the officer stuff. Instead of with officer, in the past I've gotten Fire Officer 1, Fire Officer 2 curriculum, put it into our IST. So nothing against anybody, but nobody wanted to go to an IST and talk about HR and stuff. So what we decided on at the training officers meeting is that from the IST, firefighter IST, we're going to transition that into the officer level of, if you got dispatched to an electric vehicle fire, how would you handle it? Alright? If March, we're going to do water supply and just have a tabletop for that as well. So that's going to be coming about with your officer curriculum. So it's going to mirror firefighter ISC as well with your officer ISC. So you might have any questions about that. So there's two of the 3-year rollout for that. So just remember, we do a 6-year rollout. So we do 27 and will be 30. 27 and 30 will be the same ISC. 28 and 31 will be the same IST, and 29 and 32. Does that make sense? So it's on a 6-year rotation. Alright? Alright? And then, last 2 things is mental health flyer. We're hosting that class December 1st and 2nd. So if you got anybody signing up, would like for that, take that class, when we host it here. 6 o'clock and 10 o'clock, that class is through NAMI. And then last thing, Mr. Chairman, is November 18th. We sent an email out, but November 18th, we'll be hosting a retest here for personnel that need a retest or want to do a challenge test. So right now I got some EBT and Firefighter 2 retest. So if you got personnel that need a retest or like a challenge test, let me know so we can get that test in. All right? Any questions?
The water ops on February, March.
Yeah.
That's shore base.
That's shore base
Not
water
have
ops.
to
So
be,
correct tip for that is 3310 low angle road.
so you do not have to have the swift water.
So that is operating shore base. So how to throw a throw bag. If you fall in, how can you tread water or float? and then what operations can you do from the shore. There'll be all-day classroom, Saturday, Sunday will be at USCL.
Anybody else got any questions for Britt for training? Alright, moving on, maintenance report.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Commission, maintenance division has been really busy. We left at 5 o'clock this morning, went and picked up the 40 horsepower boat motor that was damaged previously on a water rescue event. And the Belltown boat 4 is back in service as of about 2 o'clock today. So it's back in service. 1922, excuse me, is out of service due to a fuel pump failure on the spare truck. We had to sacrifice a tanker to get this county spare back up and going. In the process of doing that sacrifice, the spare truck's throttle position sensor went down. So currently we have 2 trucks that are the 98s that were on the slate to be replaced. They're having problems. I found a fuel pump, hoping we can get it put on and get 1922 back in service, barring that throttle position sensor not messing up on that truck, being that you have to manipulate the cable and everything on it when putting the fuel pump on. Was hoping they'd be replaced by now, but we're starting to get to the point that we're having trucks taking out of service. We'll try and do all we can do. Napa's working with us. Leslie Weather Fabrication is working with us to find other sources of parts. Napa's been working on it for about 2-3 years now, ever since we started the conversation about the 98s. And they have a vendor out that looks for parts of that age, and they're working with us now to find some parts. That way we can have them in available if something happens. Really, that's the major of it right now.
Thank you, Bill. Anybody got any questions concerning the maintenance? Alright, moving right along, budget detail.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, you've got a copy of the DAI for the 141 budget and the 144 budget in your package. And as you can see, we are beginning to get things spent. We were so late getting the catalog out because of the issues with procurement that now we're beginning to get things done. I would ask you as departments, please go back and get your equipment orders done just as quickly as possible. These vendors were to hold the price until the end of December. A lot of them will hold it the whole year, but they were only required to hold it to the end of December. Well, we just got catalogs out to you last month, so, and that was toward the end of the month, I think. So, it's not your fault, but please get your orders, get with your chiefs, get with your members or whoever deciding what you're gonna purchase, and let's get those in and get them done, so that we can get them done. We're also very limited in who can enter a requisition in here. Sarah is primarily the one that does it. Sometimes Billy can, sometimes he can't. His permissions come and go, and that's not me playing with him, that's just the system for some reason. I cannot, by policy now, do a requisition. All I can do is approve it. So we're limited now to just one person basically who is in here all the time that can do a requisition. So it really cramps our style because we have to buy a lot of equipment, so we do a lot of requisitions for POs. We don't have staff dedicated to do that. We've been making it work. I did requisitions, she did them. Before her, Ann did them, Billy would be doing them. We all three could do them. I was the only one that could approve them, but I could enter one. Now I can't enter one. So we went from 3 people who could do it to 1 who normally can do it all the time, and 1 who can do it some of the time to help her. But y'all know Billy's got time to be sitting in here doing a requisition. So that's just where we're at right now.
Alright, thank you, Darren. Anybody got any questions on any budget? Alright, any station announcements?
Barbecue announcements, Mark.
Y'all started today, I think.
Started today, 1 to 6, and 9 until tomorrow.
Veterans Breakfast is this Saturday morning. If you know any
Church
veterans, let them know.
Where,
At fire department.
okay, Kershaw Fire Department.
Yes. I think we start serving 7:30. This,
Start at 7:30.
I think we're moving towards 7 because they start showing up early.
Anybody else? Any other stations? All right. You got a motion?
Motion.
Okay. All right.